Hello and welcome again to Money Tips. This is Charles Kelly bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. Thanks for everyone tuning in on Facebook Live, and I appreciate that. Appreciate the people who do tune in and give me a little wave. It's great to see you. And also on my podcast itself, which can be found on iTunes and Stitcher and at my website moneytipsdaily.com. So we're still in the election period. If you're listening to this in November 2019, then we are in this election period, which is heating up now. We're going to a general election here in the UK on December the 12th. So all the parties are promising us this, that and the other, the moon and the stars and the earth, and making our lives better. And so that's carrying on. And obviously they're also advertising a lot. There's a lot of advertising going on Facebook. And that brings me on to today's title, really. Are algorithms really running our lives nowadays? Now, let's first of all, what is an algorithm? For those of you who don't know, I think we've all got a rough idea what an algorithm is, but it's defined here as a mathematical and computer science. An algorithm is a finite sequence of well-defined computer implemented instructions, typically to solve a class of problems or to perform a computation. In plain English, I guess it's a step-by-step procedure to solve a logical and mathematical problem. It's not just using computers. An algorithm could be a set of instructions that you use in your own business, a procedure, an admin procedure. But increasingly now we see algorithms being used in online by social media companies for online advertising. Like, you know, if you're looking at Facebook now, in the past you would see most of the posts made by your friends, but now you don't always see that. You're seeing what Facebook want you to see based on your likes and things you've clicked on before, things you've done before, things you've bought, and this adds to their algorithm and decides what they're going to show you on your Facebook wall. And so that's the way they do it, and that then helps them sell advertising. So if you turn it around the other way, if you want to advertise on Facebook like the political parties do, they spend tens of millions on advertising. I think they spent, it was 18 million pounds on Facebook advertising, one of the main parties. In America it's a similar sort of story. So they would have algorithms to help them decide who's going to see that advertisement based on their likes, based on who they are, what they do. I mean, you give Facebook a lot of information, so they know a lot about you. They know a lot about what you're buying, what you're doing, what you're liking, what you're viewing. So you will see more of the same thing coming up. So in a way, I don't think there's anything sinister about it. That's just the way it is. That's the way they make money. So in terms of political advertising, they will be targeting, like one of the parties, I think it was the Brexit party, said they would target conservative voters who have voted to leave the EU. Now, that's not necessarily recorded anywhere, because when you vote in this country, it's not a matter of public record who you voted for. So they must know it from some other ways, maybe things that you've put online or things that you voted liked online on Facebook. So they can do an awful lot to target things, and it's even coming into things like insurance and premiums for insurance and credit cards. Now, there's been a bit of a fuss in America recently that credit card firms, they were talking about a couple that they own their house, they have a similar income, they have equal shares in their property, and they filed joint tax returns, yet the husband was given permission to borrow 20 times more than his wife on Apple Card. Now, the Apple Card is run by Goldman Sachs, and interestingly, Steve Wozniak, who was the co-founder of Apple with Steve Jobs, he waded into the debate and on a tweet saying the same thing happened to us. Him and his wife have separate, they have no separate bank accounts or credit cards or assets of any kind. We both have the same high limits on all of our cards except our, but on Apple Card, he is allowed to borrow more than her. So they're saying that, are the algorithms being sexist and biased? And I'm surprised at that, because normally female borrowers are better borrowers. They're likely to be more conservative and likely to pay money back. And this is even confirmed with microloans in places like India, where the banks tend to lend to women and small groups of women. They give them microloans because they know they're usually good to pay it off. Thanks for the quote there Gary. Thanks for that. But algorithms also affect your insurance premiums on your house, where you live, things you do. There are so many questions now. In the past, they would just say, what's the address of the property? How much how much are you insuring it for? But now they're asking for your dates of birth, your occupation, all sorts of things that you think, why are they asking that? Well, these computer algorithms are then used to calculate your premium. So it's not done in a rate book. When I was in insurance, many, many years ago, we had rate books. So we'd say the buildings insurance rate for this is X amount per £1,000 of buildings cover. So it's maybe £2 per thousand of buildings cover per annum. And that was it. Now, you phone up these companies, you put a whole lot of information. When you do these online things, it takes hours, doesn't it? Putting all your information in. And then the computer or the algorithm decides on the premium. So that's a bit about algorithms. I would say one thing you have to be very, very careful about with insurance is to make sure that the information you give them is accurate, and to make sure that if you do claim, you must be very, very straightforward and very honest about your claim, because the insurance companies now can find out more about you, and they can put you on a fraud blacklist, which means that you would find it very difficult to get insurance. Now, this has nothing to do with prosecuting you for fraud. This is just a blacklist that they would put you on to stop you getting insurance in the future. And that can be done very easily. You could put a claim in which they decide is false, and then you could find yourself on this fraud blacklist. So be very, very careful. I mean, there have been cases where people have claimed for injuries and that sort of thing, and then they're seen on social media playing tennis and that sort of thing. So you've got to be careful. And a lot of people think that having put in a fraudulent claim to an insurance company is part of the game. Like, they'll go on holiday and then lose a camera, put in a report to the police station, and the insurance company have to pay out. But obviously that kind of behaviour makes insurance more expensive for everybody else, because everybody else has to pick up the tab for these claims. But if you do these sorts of things and you get caught, then you will be on this fraud register. And more often than not, insurance companies are now prosecuting people for fraud if they try and defraud the insurance company. And you could say, well, so what? It's an insurance company; they got loads of money. But it affects everyone, doesn't it? It affects all of our premiums. But the main thing I'm saying to you, I'm sure you're very honest with your insurance claim, is just to be very careful, because they say these on the recorded, this conversation will be recorded for protection of fraud and this sort of thing, which means that they're recording these conversations to make sure that you don't tell lies on your forms, and they can use that against you. Councils are doing the same thing, where people are claiming benefits. Councils can now share information and share fraudulent information that can go around to stop people claiming benefits fraudulently. So there you go. That's all for now. Just be careful on those insurance forms. Make sure that you're very, very accurate and very, very careful about what you say. When I'm careful, I don't mean your name. I'm talking about, have you had any claims in the past? Have you been bankrupt? Have you, have you got county court judgments? Have you, in the past, at any time, all sicknesses and that sort of thing? Like, if you're going on holiday and you've had 5 heart attacks and you don't declare that on your holiday insurance form, that could be a factor if you go on holiday and have a heart attack in America. That means you've probably told lies on your claim on your proposal form. So, as I'm saying, just be very careful about what you put down on these proposal forms, because they can come back to bite you. Like, for instance, the insurance company will not pay a claim if you've clearly given false information on a form. But not only that, they could prosecute you, and not only that, they could put you on a fraud register, which would make it very difficult for you to get insurance in the future. So thanks very much for listening, and thanks for everyone who tuned in on Facebook Live. Hi to everybody, and I will speak to you again. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. This is Charles Kelly, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate, and enjoy more money.